Welcome to the Future Strong podcast. Today, we're looking into something that's, well, it's everywhere in young people's lives, and probably yours too. We're talking smartphones. Their constant presence for students and the really widespread effects this is having. We're basing our conversation today mainly on a recent, quite revealing article from The Times. It covers a big national survey by Fluid Focus, looking specifically at phone use in education. So our goal here is to unpack what they found. Some of it is pretty striking, understand the impacts being reported, and then importantly, look at the suggested ways forward. Let's get into it. Right off the bat, the numbers in this article are, frankly, a bit startling. It kicks off with this prediction. If current habits stick, students could end up spending, get this, 25 years of their lives just on their smartphones.
25 years?
Yeah, think about that. A quarter of a century.
Yeah.
And this isn't just plucked out of thin air. It's based on an average of 5 hours and 30 minutes of daily use for someone in school, college, or uni. But then there's this smaller group, about 4%. They're on their phones 9 hours or more a day.
Wow.
For them, that projection jumps to potentially 41 years. 41 years on a device.
That's almost unbelievable.
It really is. And the article mentions the research methodology. Fluid Focus did this over the first 5 months of this year. They based it on a 16-hour waking day, assuming phone use starts around age 11 and goes right through to 83.
It paints a very vivid picture, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
And what makes this data quite robust, as the article points out, is the sheer size and mix of the sample group. Fluid Focus really cast a wide net. They talked to, 1,346 secondary pupils, nearly 200 university students, and almost 1,300 students in further education colleges.
Okay, so a really broad cross-section here.
Exactly, which gives the findings a lot of weight. And one of the interesting trends they found was that screen time actually went up with age.
Oh, really? I might have guessed the opposite.
Yeah, it was about 5 hours, 12 minutes in secondary school, but jumped to 6 hours, 12 minutes at university level.
Any idea why?
Well, the article suggests it might be just deeper integration into daily life as they get older. And the main activities are probably what you'd expect. Social media, messaging, streaming videos, that kind of thing.
Right. The usual suspects.
Pretty much. And it also highlights how habitual it is. For many students, the phone was literally the first thing they checked in the morning and the very last thing they looked at before sleep.
So it's really embedded in their daily rhythm.
Deeply embedded, yeah.
Okay, so we have these huge numbers, these ingrained habits.
Yeah.
What about the consequences? How does this actually play out for students? The article definitely gets into that, and it's pretty sobering. One stat really jumped out at me. 7 out of 10 students, that's 68%, they themselves believe their phone use harms their academic performance.
Wow, that's a high number. That level of self-awareness is quite something.
It is, isn't it? It's not just external criticism. They see it themselves. And it gets specific about study habits, too. Around 40% admitted checking their phone constantly or, every 5 or 10 minutes, even when trying to study alone.
Constantly interrupting their focus.
Exactly. And there's a real cognitive cost to that. The article mentions separate research showing it can take maybe 20 minutes to properly get back on task after even a quick look at your phone.
20 minutes each time. That adds up incredibly quickly.
It really does. Think about the lost focus, the mental energy wasted just switching back and forth.
Absolutely. That switch cost, as it's sometimes called, is significant. Your brain has to disengage, then re-engage, reload the context. It's taxing. And this doesn't just hit their studies, right? The article links it clearly to general well-being, too.
Sleep seemed like a big one.
Definitely. Almost half, 47%, reported sleep problems because of using their phones late at night. And that number was even higher for university students, soaring to 66%, 2/3.
That's huge. Sleep deprivation on top of everything else.
Precisely. And they quote Dr. Paul Redman, who studies generational change and worked with some of the colleges involved. He called the data quite stark.
Yeah.
But he also highlighted something really crucial, the students' own awareness. He quoted them saying things like, "I know I could do so much better if I just managed this."
Ah, right. That self-awareness again.
Exactly. It suggests the core issue isn't ignorance. It's more about struggling with these incredibly powerful addictive habits in an environment basically designed to hook you.
Yeah.
A real internal conflict.
Yeah, that internal conflict.
Yeah.
It makes you think beyond just grades and sleep. What about the wider picture, socially, developmentally? The article brings in Lisa Humphreys, an associate principal from Chichester College Group, which participated in the survey. And she expressed some really deep concerns. She talked about students potentially spending, 5, 6, 7 years essentially living inside their phone before they even get to college.
Wow. living inside their phone. That's a powerful phrase.
It is, and she linked this directly to seeing more crippling social anxiety. Her point was that it really hinders their ability to just meet people, build relationships in the real world, because they're not practicing those skills, not socializing face-to-face as much.
It's a paradox, isn't it? So connected digitally, but potentially more isolated socially in some ways. It really is. And that connects to what Glenn Stevenson, the co-founder of Fluid Focus, said. He described their research as basically holding up a mirror to society. He made a pretty strong statement saying that we as a society unknowingly handed powerful, addictive technologies to children during their most formative years without fully understanding the risks.
That's quite an indictment, really, a collective oversight.
It is, acknowledging that we sort of stumbled into this without maybe thinking through all the consequences for developing minds.
But it wasn't all doom and gloom from him, was it?
No, definitely not. He also made a really important counterpoint. He stressed that students are actually very aware, reflective, and increasingly motivated to change.
Okay, so there's hope there. That motivation is key.
Absolutely. That awareness and desire for change is probably the most vital starting point we have.
Right. So, given that awareness, what does the article suggest actually doing about it? What are the proposed solutions or strategies? It starts with some pretty practical advice for students themselves, things they can actually control. The single biggest change suggested is just leave the phone outside the bedroom for at least, say, 45 minutes before trying to sleep.
Simple, but potentially very effective for sleep quality.
Exactly. And Dr. Paul Redman had that slightly quirky idea, too.
Ah, the elastic bands.
Yeah, putting elastic bands around their phones. The idea being that when they automatically reach for it, the band makes them pause for a second. Just stop and think, wait, why am I doing this?
It's about interrupting that automatic, unconscious habit loop.
Yeah.
Creating a moment of friction, of mindfulness.
Small interventions, but maybe quite powerful personally.
And building on those individual actions, the article also talks about bigger picture stuff, institutional changes, even government action. Well, urging schools and colleges to actually make digital well-being part of the curriculum. Not just internet safety, but actively teaching and, importantly, rewarding healthy digital habits, making it part of their strategic thinking.
Integrating it properly makes sense.
And there was that interesting point about attention spans. Given how they seem to be shortening, the article suggests universities might need to rethink lecture lengths.
Cutting them down.
Potentially. From the usual 60 or 90 minutes to maybe shorter, more focused blocks of 30 minutes. Adapting teaching to how students actually process information now.
That's quite a shift in thinking for traditional universities.
It is. And then perhaps the biggest call was for government ministers to start treating tech overuse like a public health issue.
Like smoking or obesity campaigns.
Exactly. Suggesting a proper public health campaign aimed squarely at Gen Z to try and shift norms around screen time.
So tackling it on multiple fronts.
Precisely. And Glenn Stevenson from Fluid Focus wrapped it up nicely, saying, students just need to be met with the right education, the right tools, and the belief that change is possible. It puts the onus not just on the individual, but on the whole support system.
So wrapping this up, we've looked through this really insightful article. It paints a clear, sometimes stark picture of just how deeply smartphones are woven into students' lives. We've seen the challenges they themselves acknowledge impacting studies, focus, sleep, even social skills. But, and this feels crucial, the research strongly highlights that students are aware. They see the issues, and many seem to want change. And encouragingly, we're seeing solutions proposed at all levels, from simple personal habits right up to systemic public health approaches.
It definitely leaves you with a lot to think about. And perhaps a final question for you, our listeners, to consider building on all this. Given just how profoundly these devices are shaping the formative years of an entire generation, what new responsibilities does this place on all of us, educators, parents, policymakers? How do we move beyond just teaching digital literacy to actively cultivating genuine digital well-being for the generations coming up?
Something important to reflect on. Thank you for joining us for this exploration on the Future Strong podcast.